So when we look at verse 26, it says, I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when terror strikes you. Man, like that. Oh, yeah. Let me go ahead and read 27 since it's also part of the
Right.
sentence. Yeah. So I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when terror strikes you. When terror strikes you like a storm and your calamity comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you. I mean, like, what comes to your mind before I kind of get into that? I just want
It
to kind
sounds
of get your
like,
thoughts.
that's what it sounds like. But
Right.
seriously, it really does. It's kind of like, yo, I done told you I could come through, help you, and do all this, but you
Yeah.
just do your own thing, okay? So when all your randomness is done
Yeah.
and the terror and all the craziness comes at you, I'm going to just be, I really don't think it's really like I'm literally laughing or mocking.
Right.
But at the same time, it's really like, yo, I'm just looking at you like, hey, I was here all along. I mean, do your thing though. But that's really what happens whenever you just lean on your own understanding half the time, or just do whatever you want to. You just out here, as they say. All that stuff happens. And then after a while, you're just like, oh man. And that's really what I think those verses mean to me is after a while, after you're done doing everything, you're definitely going to be looking like, oh man, this is a lot. And it is a lot.
That's real. And like the one thing that I want to hone in on in these two verses in particular is the fact that there's a particular subject that's doing the laughing. And I think when we did our previous subject, I may mention it as being God, but I actually want to correct that and say that this isn't God laughing, right? Because I know that then people will point to this and be like, see, look at your God. Look how he responds. He laughs and he mocks when bad things happen to people. Like, how could you worship a God like that? Well, it's kind of going back to what you were talking about. Before I get into that, let me identify who the subject is. The subject is actually revealed to us at the very start of these passages. It's wisdom, right? Wisdom is referenced as the main subject of these passages of scripture. So it's not God himself that's laughing, but it's actually wisdom. And when you look at it, wisdom is kind of going to laugh at you. Right. And not in the sense like you mentioned. It's not literal laughing. It's not literal mocking. Right. Some things in the Bible are literal or can be taken literally. But in this case, I think this is more metaphorically because when these bad things happen to you, calamity and terror, all of that wisdom that you had access to, remember where wisdom is identified, is present at. She's out there. She's crying aloud in the street. She in the market. She in the noisy streets. She at the entrance of the city gates. Like, so the fact that
she out here too.
Right. She out here. She in them streets. You feel me?
Right.
Like she's out there. She's available. And, that actually brings up the point to let us know that godly wisdom is available to us wherever we are.
Exactly.
Right? It's available. It's whether or not we have the discernment or even the willingness to acknowledge it and, like we talked about before, receive it. Because it truly is a gift. Because we see what happens without it. Some very, very bad things. And as we get further along in this chapter, we're going to see that it ultimately is going to bring a person to the grave. And that's very sad. But that's the reason why this is here, to prevent that from ever happening. And I just want to get your take. When you see the word storm, when you see the word whirlwind, what kind of comes to your mind when you envision those?
The Wizard of Oz. You remember in the beginning, a baby girl was like, yo, we're not in Kansas anymore.
Nah,
it's the same thing. Yeah. Or even the Wiz, if y'all want to use the Wiz. It's the same thing. It's like, oh, shoot. Like, that's really what that is. But we all go through our own storms and whirlwinds. We all do. And it's not fun. It's not exciting. I don't know anybody who said, wow, that storm was something else. I loved it. Like, nah, I've never gone through a storm and enjoyed it. It was terrible. And now as I get older, I learn, okay, these storms, these whirlwinds are here to teach me something, especially if I wasn't trying to walk through it, because we all go through that. This is a difference to me. I feel like I can't look at this and say, oh man, I'm never going to go through any storms or whirlwinds if I have all the wisdom and I'm making sure that I'm leaning on God's wisdom. Like, nah, you're going to go through some storms and whirlwinds that have nothing to do with wisdom at all. It's like, that's what your path is. But I feel like in times like this, when you really don't fall back on what you know and what you should do, that yes, you're going to run into some storms and some whirlwinds, and it's not going to be fun. It's actually going to cause, like it says, distress, anguish, a lot of stuff that isn't fun. And it's the truth.
Yeah, it is. It is, and what I want to do is I want to actually look a little bit deeper into those words, storm and whirlwind. We're going to head over to Merriam in a moment. The reason why is because the terror is being compared to a storm. The calamity is being compared to a whirlwind. And if we don't have an understanding of the characteristics that come with those two things, then a person may not have the wisdom to discern whether or not they're even experiencing terror or calamity. You would think it would be self-obvious, right? Or self-obvious. But sometimes it's not self-evident to a person. And they're like, oh, well, this is just how life is. Case in point, have you ever met people who their situation in life is not good by any means, but to them, like, life is normal and life is quote unquote okay?
Yeah, it's like, they always say ignorance is bliss. Like, but I would even say, sometimes you can look at somebody's situation, just like you said, and be like, how they live like that? To them, that's normal. That's their sense of normalcy. And I always tell people, everybody's sense of normalcy is not the same. So you cannot look at somebody's situation and go, why they live like that? Or why they talk like that? Or why they even do stuff like that? That's what they're used to. I don't care what anybody says, you are a product of your environment. And it doesn't matter if you're a child or an adult. You're a product of your environment as an adult, as an elderly person. You're a product of where you are. Like, and what feeds you either allows you to grow or you can be stifled, or you can either wither away and die. So it just depends on what you pick. But there are times in life where people are like, yo, I'm good just chilling. I don't need to grow. This is fine.
Right.
But yeah, I've seen people like that. I've even been like that at times. So it's not just a particular person or a particular group of people. It could be you. And I've been there before.
Yeah. And the reason why I wanted to bring that out is because some people are living the terror and living the calamity, but because, for lack of a better term, their eyes are not open to what is before them, they don't even acknowledge it to be calamity or to be terror. And, that right there is definitely a travesty. And, it is definitely to their detriment. So what I want to do really quickly is just go over to Merriam. So let's head over there one more time and take a look at this word, storm. So right here, we see, I think what we all equate to know, which is, a disturbance of the atmosphere, right? But let's take a look at some of these other definitions that are kind of outside of the norm, because here we're not so much looking for, like rain, thunder, and lightning and things of that nature, but we're trying to get the characteristics behind what a storm is really bringing. And I think that this definition right here, number 2, is really, really pivotal. A disturbed or agitated state. Now, let me ask you this really quickly. I'm gonna bring it back to you for a second. You ever seen anybody in an agitated state? You ever met somebody that's living a life and they're a little disturbed and they trying to figure out why?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely. I've even been that person where, you're just agitated, or you can put whatever label you want to on it, but it's not good. And you're like, man, I don't know why I feel like this, but every day you're doing the same thing. Every day you have the same agitation. And it's like, whoa. But some people actually live like that. And that's really scary. But it's best when you can point it out for yourself and be like, whoa, why am I so agitated today? Or did I wake up on the wrong side of the bed? Some people literally wake up on the wrong side of the bed every single day.
Right.
And they're okay with it. So yeah, I totally know what you mean.
And see, this is the reason why I wanted to dive deeper into it, right? Because we could have easily just glossed over it, be like, oh, it's a storm. And we think about what happens outside in nature or in the atmosphere. But if we don't really dive deeper and look at the characteristics and see how it practically applies to our life, we're doing ourselves a disservice because, like you just mentioned, a lot of people out there can relate to being in a disturbed or agitated state. And like you mentioned, for some people, that's normalcy. And when what we're reading right now in Proverbs is letting us know that that quote unquote normalcy is not something that is unfixable. The solution to that problem, if a person is willing to receive, right, is the wisdom that we find in the Bible. That's essentially what wisdom is saying. Wisdom is saying, like, yo, listen, I am the cure, the solution to that problem. If you want to avoid the terror, you want to avoid the storm, you want to avoid being disturbed and agitated, what you need is some godly wisdom in your life.
Right.
And for anybody that's tuned in right now to this channel, to this discussion, this study of the Bible, they're studying along with us, you're putting yourself in a position where if you were or are currently in a disturbed or agitated state, I promise you those levels are decreasing because of what you're doing right now. You're receiving wisdom to do what? Get yourself on a better place. Put yourself on the right path. Draw closer to God. And that is ultimately what I believe our goal in life, especially if we do want to live what I wouldn't necessarily quote call the good life, but if you want to live a life of peace. And, you know, I don't know about anybody else out there, but if I had to choose anything that would be forever ingrained in my life, never going away God is always going to be there, you know, especially if I exist as a human being with him being inside of me. So the reason why I say that is because somebody may be like, well, he didn't say God. Well, nah, the one thing that I would want is peace, you know? Peace in our life is vitally important. And, you know, I just wanted to point.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah. So if we head back over there, let's take a look at a whirlwind because that's the next one that's up. All right, cool. So you mind reading those definitions?
Ooh, okay. Sorry.
I
already went to number 2.
I want to see what you'll see.
Number 1. Okay, of course, a small rotating windstorm of limited extent. Number 2, a confused rush. 2B is a violent or destructive force or agency.
So you know I'm coming back to you, right? I'm coming back to you.
Yeah.
You know anybody that kind of fit that bill? You ever met anybody that was in a confused rush?
For sure. I would definitely, and that's something I'm working on with my self-awareness is always bringing it back to myself. There's times in my life where I'm the whirlwind. I'm the destructive force.
Wow.
I'm the one that's bringing confusion to my own self. Wow. And they always say God is not a God of confusion. So whenever you're confused, you doing too much. Something's going on. And I'm normally the person that's confused and bringing stuff about and because I'm always doing 8,000 things. So at time that brings my confusion.
We could get you to 7,999.
I know, exactly. Or maybe just a mere 6,000. That would be good. But that's one of the things I would say is sometimes we're our own destructive force. We're our own person that literally brings along the chaos and the monotony. Where I wouldn't even point the finger and say, yes, I know plenty. And granted, I know plenty of people look good. But if I want to bring it back to myself, because I'm working on that, I would say sometimes I'm the one that's doing, you know, the destruction in my life and doing the most. I wouldn't even say being destructive, but just doing the most for no reason. Where I just need to chill. You know how you say you just need to have peace about the situation. Slow down, relax. Okay, drive slow, homie. Drive slow. Sometimes I'm driving real fast, and ain't no need. Nobody's behind me. There's no traffic. It's like, yo, you gotta relax, boo. You gotta chill out. So,
you know, if people be in a rush to get to nowhere
fast, as my grandma would say, trying to go nowhere fast.
Shout out, Granny.
Shout out to grandma. She would always say, "Look at them going nowhere fast," and I'd be like, "What?" But now that I'm older, I get it. Yeah. You're going nowhere at super fast speed. So when you get to nowhere, you're not gonna know what to do.
Now, like since we talking about being on the road, driving fast, I have, and I'm gonna admit it, and let me know if you've ever experienced this. Like there are sometimes, you know, I thank God I don't do this often now, but back in the day when I was living out there wild and on them streets driving fast, you know, there would be plenty of times where like somebody, are you in front of me going slow? Look, no, I'm not having that, you know, and I zoom around the person and then I zoom back in front of them. And then guess what? I get caught at that red light and they come a creeping.
And they looking like,
how you doing? All that extra stuff. You know what? Now I'm that person though. Like the tripped out part is now I'm the person that I'm like, I'll see you at the red. I'm going to see you.
That part, I'm that person now too. Where it used to be, I'm like, oh my God. Where now I'm like, you'll catch up. We all got to meet at this light. Or even if you're on the highway, you hitting the exit or whatever, and everybody trying to, it's like, we're all going to get there. I promise.
We will.
I absolutely promise. We'll all reach the same destination because we all have to get on this exit. So it's like people are really trying to bob and weave through life. And it's like, God, just relax.
Right. Please, people, please. So I'm so glad that we were able to look at these words and look at the character of what they represent. Because even let's look at B, a violent, destructive force or agency. You know, I don't know about you, but for me, I think of people who are always in a rage. You know, like people, like let's put it in the terms they use today. Like they always want to smoke. Like they like where the fire at? Because I got this smoke. I'm bringing that. You know. Smoke. They want all of that. Where is it? Yo, who want it? You know that person that anybody could call, like when something going down, like they want something to be going down.
Yeah, when something going down, they always ready. Exactly.
Like you ever met or knew somebody?
Yeah, you know people like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know people like that. I know I could call them right now and they'd be ready to go. And it's like, whoa. Like
call me.
It's literally 8:15 tonight and somebody would be ready to go. You're supposed to be chilling at home with your family, not ready to beat somebody up on my behalf. Like, no, I've never been the person who wants to smoke. Now I can go there if absolutely necessary, but it's just not at the ready. Like I'm not like, oh my God, they want that smoke. Let's go. Like that ain't me. Like that takes a lot of pent up aggression. I don't have all of that in my spirit.
Now, but whirlwind, baby, it's spinning inside of them, and they gotta unleash it.
Now, granted, used to I had that in me, like in my earlier, younger days.
You know, I can't even picture you like that though.
Everybody says that, but it's true. Like
you know, I feel like you got a little clap back in you, but like
I do. My words. That's why I say, yo, I'm always putting things back on myself because I have a very sharp tongue, and I know that about myself. I'm very sarcastic. I know that. And I also know I'm working on my temper because I get fired up very quick. So that's the thing.
I haven't seen you in these lights, man. Yo.
I know that's true, but that's the thing. You got to always put the lens back in on yourself.
I'll probably be like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, when I tell people that, they're like, what? Tara, you a temper? And I'm like, yeah.
Tara, the Tara. Oh my gosh.
Terrible, the Tara.
Terrible, Tara. You know how the nicknames come out, yo. Killer
like,
T.
Yo, don't say that. Don't say
right.
that.
Oh, they go to you see the eyes. Oh, watch out now.
But no, you do know people like that who want that smoke all the time. Like I used to want to smoke. I don't want to smoke no more. That ain't no, thank you.
Nah, man, I'm not about that. You know, like I had cousins like that, man. Definitely. Stay on the ready, and it's just like. I don't know. Like, let me ask you this question. Have you ever knew somebody that was about that smoke life and they told you like, yo, if you ever need me, all you got to do is hit me up. I'll be there. Yeah. And, you know, one time it was some static and you was like, yo, whatchamacallit? And when they got there, they turned up to a level that you was like, oh my God, I ain't never called
to
you
point
again.
That it was scary. And you like, whoa, I said smoke, not a full fire. Like, Jesus Christ.
They want a doggone flamethrower to that.
Yeah, some people don't want the smoke. They want a full on, what's the little thing, the torch. Yeah. They got the torch in hand and they just blowing stuff up. And you like, what was that? You had a whole fireworks show. I didn't ask for that. I just had a little smoke. Just, and you just go, like, that's not what I'm looking for. But some people, they should come with a warning. Like, what type of smoke do you want me to bring? Like, I can bring fireworks, an explosion. a light mist.
Right.
I can bring a bonfire. What would you like?
Yo, Tara, you like all I just want a little liquid smoke. I mean, like you out here with the real joint
in the bottle, right? Just
like
a little.
That's a granny. Like that's a granny. You know, like I didn't know you was about to go hammer on granny like that.
Right. I just need you to talk to my grandma about a couple things. I ain't need you to, like, you doing too much.
Why you just snatch granny wig? No, she ain't even do that. You got granny out here with that head that on her head. Why you know
grandma ain't got no hair? Why you do that?
Because you know somebody got a cousin out there that don't care if it's a granny or not. What it is, snatch that gray wig off her head.
That's the truth. Those are the type of people that scare me. Excuse me, the ones that don't even care who it is, the elderly, a baby, a dog. I'm like, you got no regard for nobody.
Oh, man, they don't even care about a goldfish, man. Get out of here and knock your whole...
I'm like, what? I'll knock the water out that tank. It's
right,
like,
well,
why would you do such a thing?
I was thirsty. We don't even drink that water, though.
Right? It's like, that's for the fish. Ew.
Bruh, yo, I'm telling you. But no, man, like, I think this gives us a lot of practical ways to look at when we see that word storm, when we see it's like a terror. It could be that person whose life just seems like it's always in a mess. You know, they can never get that peace and that rest, right? And then you got those people that they can't find peace and rest because they always ready to bring the smoke. They always on 100. Like, man, it's like, dang, if we could only get you down to 99.9, man, like, I mean, anything just to decrease you just a little bit.
Right. That would be some type of improvement.
Oh, man, it'd be a blessing from the Lord.